So yesterday we spoke about a bit of networking. We spoke how exactly a local network works and things like that. Okay, we talked about the cloud concept. We talked about what exactly is SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS and on-prem. So these are the basic things which we talked about. Today we'll be focusing more on Vnet, that's virtual network. So this is the first service which we'll start with, virtual network in Azure cloud, and we'll talk about NSGs, what exactly is NSGs and all, and we'll try to demo by creating a virtual network and NSGs. So this is what will be the focus area today. Okay, so what exactly is a virtual network? We understood how a local network works. Like if you have a computer, we have discussed how your home network works, how it connects to the modem, how it connects to the wireless device, how it connects to the switches and all. Okay. Similarly, in cloud, you can create your own dedicated virtual network for your resources. You can have your own firewall rules, you can have your own route tables, you can have your own public IP, you can have your own dedicated private network in your cloud. So why do you need this? Because you will have all your resources in cloud and you want the network interface and everything. So this is all can be done by just a click, and you can easily manage your resources on cloud at the network layer. Okay, how exactly this can be created? So in Azure, we have a service called Vnet, using which you can create your own dedicated virtual network. Let's go and see what exactly is virtual network, and then we'll start with the demo. So virtual network is the fundamental building block for your private network in Azure. So basically, guys, if you want to have a private network set up in cloud, this is a service which you will be using. That's virtual network. Vnet will enable many types of Azure resources such as Azure VM to securely communicate with each other. So with the help of this Vnet, you will have the services such as Vnet, storage account, SQL Server. They can easily communicate with each other, and they can even communicate from outside your virtual network. Okay, so from internet, if you want to access your, suppose there is a VM and there is a VM is hosting your application, and you want to access that application from internet using this Vnet also, that can be made possible. There are multiple services what Vnet provides. If you want to connect to your on-prem servers, like when I say, if you're working in some hybrid company where they have their own data center, plus they're using cloud. Okay, so you can even using on-prem resources, you can connect to your virtual network. You can use site-to-site VPN. There are express route using which you can even connect from your on-prem server to cloud. You can communicate between Azure resources, so that is by default. If you have your resources within the virtual network, or not even within the virtual network, if it's there in other virtual network, then too the communication can happen using Vnet pairing and all. So this is all, whatever theory you see, guys, I'll be doing it in practical. We'll see what exactly is Vnet pairing. We'll see what is exactly is service endpoints and things like that. Filter network traffic. So filter network traffic, which port you want to allow, which IP range you want to allow. So this way you can even filter the traffic which is coming in. You can even route the traffic. So this is basically virtual network. In short, is a private network, dedicated network which you create for your resources in order to enable communications, guys. Okay, just keep that in mind. So what are the benefits of using virtual network? Representation of cloud network. So this is your private networking which is happening in cloud. Hybrid scenarios. So with the help of Vnet, we can extend our communication to on-prem servers also. So that is the reason we call this as hybrid. Not just in cloud. If you want to communicate to your on-prem servers, so even that is possible. Dedicated instance. So every Vnet is Azure is a private and dedicated. So you will have a dedicated environment created on cloud. Connectivity between Azure services. So if you want to connect to other services, like from VM, you want to connect to your storage account, you want to connect to your SQL servers. So even that is quite possible with virtual network. Okay, so this is all about theory, guys. Let's go and see more in practical and see how exactly it works. Okay, so imagine this is my virtual network which I'll be creating in cloud. So what did I say yesterday? When you create a virtual network, you'll be giving a range of IP, correct? Range of private IP needs to be allocated. So for this virtual network, the virtual network which we will be creating, let's imagine the range is, I'll be selecting a range as 10.0.0.0/16. Now, before I jump onto this, let's understand, let's break this into how exactly our IP will be allocated. So this is a bigger range which I'm talking about, guys. Let's break this and understand a bit of subnetting. Okay. So the number which I'm giving, this is 10.0.0.0/16. It's nothing but it will be in subnet mask. This is nothing but this is something like 255.255.0.0/16. So the first block, what you see, this is 8 bit. This is how IPv4 is defined, guys. So just a basic understanding, nothing much you have to understand in this. And this second block is 8 bit. The third block is 8 bit. Third block is 8 bit. And the fourth block is also 8 bit. So overall it is 8, 8, 8, 32 bits. So till here we have taken the number. If I'm defining 16, if I'm telling 16 over here, so that means these two blocks already full. 255, 255, this is already full. The only IPs can be allocated, it's over here. Okay, how the IPs will be allocated now in this range, if how the private IPs will be allocated, this will be something like this: 10.0.1.0. Then it will be 10.0.1.1. This is how the IPs will start getting allocated to your resources within this range. These two things are already full. When I say 16, that means this block 10.0 is already full. The only IPs will be get allocated will be over here. 1.0, this will go till, this IP will go till 0.1. It will go till 254. 255th one is reserve, so that will not be assigned. It will go till 254. Once this is over, then it will come to the second range, 10.0.2.0. Then again it will go till 10.0.2.254. This way it will go. So this is the biggest range which I'm talking about. So till the time this is not completely 254, it will keep on going. It will keep on assigning IPs. So that is the reason yesterday I said this is quite a big range we are talking about. Okay. Now, if I assign a subnet in between, I've assigned a subnet 10.0.1.0/24. What do I mean? If I am assigning this range, so this range is within this range, guys. And when I say 24, so what do I mean? This three blocks are already taken. You cannot have any IPs numbers changed in this three blocks. 8, 16, 24. This is how subnet masking happens in real time. Okay, this is a very basic IT calculation I'm showing you guys. It's very basic because we are not a CCNA guy. We don't have to deep dive into networking. So this is very basic network calculation, and you don't even have to calculate by yourself. It will auto get, when you create a Vnet, it will get automatically calculated. Okay. So understand, when you see this 24, that means this three blocks are already taken. So the only IP, how the IP will be allocated. Now in such cases, it will be 10.0.1.1, and it will go till 10.0.1.254. 255th one is the reserve one, so it will not be allocated. The 250, the maximum you can allocate 255 IPs in one bit, in one block. So 255th you cannot allocate because that is a reserve IP. Okay, so it will go till this. So how many IPs can you allocate? So if you calculate, you can allocate approx 254 IPs over here in such subnet if you're using 24. How many IPs you can allocate over here? So you have to calculate, and if you calculate, it will be around 65,534 IPs. Okay, so this is how IPs gets allocated, guys. So that is what we'll do. So what is the IP range for the VNet I'm selecting? 10.0. So when I say 10.0.0.16, that means the first two block is gone. Yeah. Questions? Yeah, guys. Anyone has any questions?
Nothing. Go on. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Rohit. Mr. Rohit, how are you?
I'm good. Tell me.
Thank you for bringing me here. I just wanted to ask: is there the reason why you're doing 10.0 is because it's private network, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely correct. So if you go more deep into networking, so there are three types of IPs which you can allocate: Class A, Class B, Class C. So the Class A IP is a private IP which starts with 10 dot. Class B is kind of a private or a public IP, can be used as a private and public purpose. Starts with 172. Class C IP is public IP, starts with 192. These are three classes of IPs which you will come across in IPv4. Let me just write it down for you guys. Which you will come across. So what did I say? There are three types of classes which you will find. Class A starting with 10 dot, which we saw. Class B, which is nothing but your 172 range, and class C, these are IP starting with 192. So this is mostly used for your private IP purpose. So your internal communication, if you want to do any sort of internal communication, then this is the IP range which you will be using. Make sense? So this is the IP range I have selected for my virtual network. And this is, as I said earlier, it's quite a big range. So what I'll do, with the help of subnetting, again guys, what exactly is subnetting? Subnetting is a practice of dividing a larger network into smaller networks. So what are the benefits? A single broadcast domain, network security, and you will not have any organization problems and all. So how do we subdivide this larger network into smaller network? By creating subnetting. So I can have one subnet created. So let's have this subnet created, and let's name this subnet. What is the IP range I'll be using? So I want in the subnet, your IP range should be within this IP range. So what I can use subnet 10.0.1.0/24. Can I do it? Yes, this is within this range. The range where this is within this virtual network range. Makes sense? Now inside this subnetting, I'll start creating my VMs. So this will be my VM. I'll have a VM created, something called VM1, and in this VM we'll install a Apache server, and we'll try to access this from internet. Okay, let me make this a bit small. This is taking the complete space. So let me just remove this part. Okay, let me make it in the between because I need to create something else as well. So this is your virtual network. Inside this virtual network, you have your subnets created, and inside this subnet, you'll have your VMs. What is the IP range they're talking about? 10.0.0/16. And what is the subnet range you're talking about? 10.0.0. Let's take it to 1/0/24. and this will be my VM1. So automatically a VM will get assigned a private IP. One important thing I spoke about yesterday, guys, that if you want to connect to internet, so what I'm planning right now, that I want to install a web server on this, a front-end web server which I want to install, and which will be accessible from internet. That is what I'm planning right now. So just imagine this is your internet, and you want to access, you want to route traffic, and I want to access this on port 80, correct? So on internet HTTP port, that is 80, on which I'll be trying to access my web server. Now the problem is with private IP. So just imagine there is a private IP which got assigned to this VM when you create it, that is 10.0.1.2.5, whatever. So within this range, the IP will be allocated to your VMs. Now the problem is that with this private IP, with just this private IP, I'll not be able to access my web server from outside. So what exactly needs to be done in such cases? How do you access your web server? So in order to access your web server, there is a NIC card, network interface card. That there is a NIC card which needs to be assigned. So this is NIC card. Even if you use your local computer, your desktop in your home, even that has a NIC card where you connect your LAN. If you're using a laptop, it will have a wireless card using which you're connecting to your wireless devices. It will also have a NIC card wherein you see a LAN port. So if you want to connect to internet, even your local device, you will need a NIC card, guys. So same goes with VMs on cloud. Even the VMs on cloud will require a NIC card. Without NIC card, you cannot connect to internet. If you don't want to connect to internet, there's no need of assigning a NIC card to your VM. But if you want to connect to internet, you need to have a NIC card. What is the full form of NIC? Network interface card. This NIC card, using this NIC card, your VM will have a public IP assigned. Once the public IP is assigned, your communication will happen over the internet. Perfect. Okay. Now just remember this setup, guys. Now one thing I'm saying over here, that I want to allow port 80. My application listens on port 80. But if I'm exposing my VM to internet, how do I make sure that only the request is coming on port 80? I can have a DOS attack also, denial of service attack. The hackers can try and enter because you're exposing your things on internet. So you should have some sort of restrictions that only port 80 should be allowed, correct? You should have some sort of restrictions over here. How do you put restrictions? So there is a concept called NSG, Network Security Group. Using this concept, you'll be able to filter. So this is used to filter network traffic. Now let me explain this in a very layman term. What exactly is NSG is? Imagine that you reside in a complex, in a building. Okay, so you got around 10-story building and you reside somewhere on the floor 6th. And in your building, there's no watchman. So there's no one keeping track who is entering your building, who is exiting your building, who is coming in, which floor he is going. There is no one at the main gate checking. So there's no security guard. So if there's no security guard, what will happen? Anyone can enter your building any given point of time. Anyone can exit. Anyone can go to any floor without any restrictions. So there's a network breach which is happening in your building, correct? There is a great chance that even a criminal, a thief, or any of such mentality people can also enter your building, and they can hamper or they can harm the resident. Okay, what if, so this is without any security guard. What if I keep a security guard at the main gate? We have hired a security guard and now we are keeping a security guard at the main gate. Now the security guard is responsible to check everyone and to check where exactly they want to go. Like suppose if someone is entering, they say I want to go into 601 flat number. The security guard will maintain a register and he will enter your details. Then he will call you at 601 that this XYZ person is trying to enter. Should I allow? Then you say yes. Then based on that communication, he will be able to come to your flat. Okay. Now you have given some information to your security guard that this person should not be entered. This person should not be allowed to my flat. So if that person comes in, what will security guard do? He checks his records. He sees, okay, there's this person was denied. He was told not to enter. So immediately he'll deny the request and he'll ask the person to go. He'll not allow that person. So what exactly security guard is doing? Security guard is filtering a traffic and making sure that the network is secure, the building is secure, and only the legitimate person is, is are allowed to enter the building. Who is this security guard in my case? Is NSG. If I say to NSG, boss, only port 80 should be allowed, no other port. So you will not even allow SSH to anyone. Like if you want to log into this VM, you will do SSH or RDP, correct? So you will not even allow SSH to anyone. Only port 80, that means only you can access your application from front end, that's it, nothing else. So NSG is the minimal security feature which you can enable to your networking. Okay, so let's go where exactly the energy can be assigned. So the energy can be assigned to multiple places, guys. You can assign energy at subnet. You can even assign energy at subnet layer. You can even assign energy at NIC card. So energy is very flexible. You can have energy at subnet layer. You can assign energy at NIC card. If you have 2 energy, just example, I'll not assign 2 energy, but if you have 2 energy and you have allowed port 80, so the request will go to this subnet, this energy. It will check if port 80 is allowed. If this is allowed, then it will pass on to your within the subnet. Then it will go to this energy. It will check if port 80 is allowed. If suppose the port 80 is not allowed at over here, the request will be denied. Okay. So enough of theory, guys. Let's go and see things in practical. Yes, very good. Security group, right? Compared to AWS, perfect. Yes, Samir. Okay. So let's see what is NSG first. So NSG contains multiple inbound and outbound security rules that enables you to filter traffic to and from resources by source and destination IP address and protocol. So this is how NSG does things for you. So what all things it does, it will help you filter traffic. It will help you with association. Energy can be associated to subnets, as I said earlier. It can be and network interface. So there are 2 places where energy can be associated. You can associate multiple subnets and network interface to a single NSG. Evaluation, rules applied at subnet and network interface level is evaluated separately. As I said in the diagram, you can have multiple rules. You can have multiple rules for your NSGs. Rule set, energy comprise a set of priority. So based on priority, the network traffics are allowed or denied. Okay. Now in my practical, what I'll do, guys, I'll just use one energy to avoid confusion. I'll have only one energy that will be at the NIC level. Then later we can add more energy. So only one energy will be using in this use case is that AWS call NACL net access control list. NACL or security group. So as of now, we're talking about security group, Devin, not NACL. NACL and ACL in it's different over here. Okay, let's go and see. Then we can, if you want, we can do a quick comparison with AWS also. No worries. Let's go and set up this for us. Hopefully everyone has signed in on Azure, guys. If not signed it, I've already shared the documentation with Valaxy team. Please go and get the documentation and sign into Azure portal. Okay, so let's go and create the virtual network. So once you sign in, this is the page what you will see, guys. At the top, Victoria, please reach out to the Valaxy team and they can help you out further. Okay, so at the top you can just look for Vnet and just click on Vnet. This is what we are creating right now. This box I'm trying to create the Vnet one. So I can go and create the Vnet. Okay, before I go and create a Vnet, one more important thing in Azure. In Azure, whatever you create, that gets created based out of ARM, Azure Resource Manager. So any resources which you create in Azure nowadays, so the first thing which you create is a resource group. What do you create? The first thing which you create is a resource group. Once the resource group is created, guys, you need to select the right service plan. Service plan is nothing but it's through which the billing happens. Like as if now I'm not creating any service plan because for the virtual network there's no service plan creation. But when you create a VM, you will be selecting the right compute based on which you will be get charged. We'll talk about how exactly the billing happens, how the billings are calculated later in this course. For now, whatever resources you use in cloud, there is a charge involved. Okay, this is the services which we will be using that will be very minimalistic, will not get highly charged, so don't worry about that, but there is a charge involved. So the second thing which you will create will be the service plan, and the third is your resources which you're creating. What is the benefit of using resource group? So earlier, like if you fall back 10 years back, before 2013, this resource group concept was not there. What exactly they were doing? They were using classic. Okay, now just imagine if I want to create a VM. If I create a VM, does a VM gets created all alone, standalone? No. What all things you create together with VM? We create a Vnet, we create public IP, we create disk, we have OS assigned to it. There's so many other resources we are creating. It gets created automatically. If you go and just create a VM, this will get created automatically. So without a resource group is nothing but grouping of resources. All these resources will be grouped together. All these resources will be grouped together. If suppose, and what is the benefit of grouping? Easily you can give access to anyone. If you want to give access to this VM, you can give access to the resource group directly and they will have access to everything. If you want to delete or manage the complete life cycle of this VM, you can easily manage at the resource group level. And if you want to delete this VM, you can just delete the resource group. All your underlying resources will get deleted automatically. So that is the benefit of resource group, grouping of resources. This is done through ARM, that's Azure Resource Manager. Okay. And if prior to this resource group concept, we didn't have resource group concept, we had classic. In classic, the grouping was not allowed. All resources needs to be created individually. And if you want to manage, each resource was getting managed individually. If you want to give access, each access needs to be given individually. That was very hectic seriously, at that point of time, no one was using Azure. This was the biggest change what Azure did in the year 2013. They came up with ARM. In ARM, they had one feature of resource group, grouping of resources. Okay, makes sense? If you want to see the previous one, you can still see the classic. If you see this classic, this is old. Wherever you see this word classic attached, this is the older method how things were happening. Wherever you see this classic attached. Okay, this was the older method. Definitely we are not using this older method. Okay, just an FYI for you guys. Okay, so if I want to create a virtual network, this is how it looks like. The first thing it will go and ask you, create a resource group. Let me tell you, without a resource group, you cannot do anything in cloud. If you want to create any resources, the first thing you need to create is a resource group. And if you guys see at the top, even I am using free trial, guys. The reason is very straightforward, because there are so many services which we will be launching in cloud, and with free trial I'll have some sort of restrictions. Okay, the quota restriction, the resource restriction. So even because if I use my pay as you go account, I will not have any sort of restrictions and I'll be able to do things very easily. With free tier I'll have restrictions. I want to face those restrictions, so that if I have any restriction, we can work on it and we can fix it. So that is the whole purpose why even I am using free trial account. Okay, so even if you don't have a free trial, if you go use pay as you go, no worries guys, please do use, because this free trial is only for 1 month. After the 1 month time, we'll have to switch to pay as you go, or we have to create a new account. So once my free trial is over, I'll be switching even this account to pay as you go. Okay, as I said earlier, whatever resources we will be launching will be very minimal and hardly you will get charged. The only thing is, as soon as you're done with your work, make sure you delete everything. Okay, so let's go and create the resource group. I don't have a resource group, so let's name it as Valaxy RG. So this is the name of my resource group. This is the name of my Vnet. What is the name should I give? I just give Vnet 1, virtual network 1, and let's make it capital. Region, I'll select as East US. I'll talk about this region and all in details later in this course. For now, we'll select East here. And this is the place where I can go and allocate IPs. Now, if you see, automatically IP is allocated 10.0.0.16 slash 16. So how many IPs will be allocated? 65,536. If you want to give your own range, so I think this is the range we are using. Yeah, this is the range. So I'll stick with the same range. And if you come down, there is a subnet is also getting assigned. So what I'll do, I'll just remove this subnet. I'll add my own subnet. I'll name this subnet as subnet 1. And what is the range we want? I think I have given over here 10.0.1.0 slash 24. So let's use this 10.0.1.0 slash 24. How many IPs I can allocate in this range? 251 plus 5 Azure reserved. As I said, only one reserve. Like if you are setting up network, virtual network directly on a data center, then you will have only one reserve. There are 5 IPs which Azure is reserving for its purpose. So we can just allocate 251 IP in this range, starting from 10.1.0 till 10.0.1.55. So this is what we were talking about. This is how the IP range will be allocated, guys. So this is what you need to remember. That's it, nothing else. Okay. NAT gateway and all, for now ignore it. Enter. Okay. Security. We'll understand what exactly best in host is all about. So this is something we'll understand in future. For now, just disable everything, review and create. So what did we create? We created this Vnet. We created this subnet. Okay. Now the things which we need to create is the virtual machine. Anyone any questions? I think there was some ping. Any questions, guys? While we are waiting for this resource to get created.
Hi, Mr. Rohit, can you go back again, please, to show us the VNet where you added the subnet?
Okay, why not?
Thank you, thank you.
So this is the virtual network. Just look for Vnet at the very top in the search box, and it will open a Vnet this page for you. Okay. In this, once you click on create. This is the page which will pop up, and in the next IP address page, this is the IP range. So this is your complete virtual network IP. Okay. And this virtual network I'm subdividing into subnets. So this is the subnet which we are creating. So this is the place where you can go and create subnet. If you stick with default, so this is the subnet range which will be allocated. Or if you want to create something of your own, you can click on add subnet and you can create your own subnet over here. Okay, make sense?
Rohit Karim here. Actually, in real time, how we will get this subnet ranges? I mean, which subnet range we have to use? Uh, how we'll get to know? Like,
Okay. In the real time, like if the infrastructure is getting designed, like if suppose there is an application which you guys are planning to move on to cloud, there will be a solution architect guy who will be designing the complete infrastructure, that these all resources which is needed. And if you are responsible as a cloud architect, you are responsible for setting up all this. So initially only you will be deciding what will be a virtual net. So in real time, we don't waste such IPs, guys. So this is very big broadcast range which I have taken. In real time, we'll not take such big broadcast range. We'll take something very small, okay, wherein we can assign 250 or 400 IPs the maximum, not more than that. And that small broadcast range will have multiple subnet, not just one. So this is very simple example I'm showing. Will have multiple subnets so that my resources are divided into front end resources, back end resources, because there are resources which will communicate to internet. There are resources which will stay in the back end, which will not have any communication. Keeping all this security in mind, you will be coming up with IP range. So you will come up with this subnet range. You will have in whatever IP you have over here, the network range you have selected. Within that network range, you will create your subnet. Then once you start creating the, because this is a building block, you're designing the architect right now. You are assigning, selecting IP ranges right now. Then your VMs and everything will get start popping up inside it. So if you in a real time, they will be like, if you are the only person who is doing everything, then you will be taking care of networking also. But if you talk about MNCs, they will have network guys also, wherein they will help you with what IP range you should have, what subnet range you should have, where all network security we can place, what all services we can use. So all this will be communicated. So, but there would be a big chance that if you're working for a project or you're doing all by yourself, then it's a very good learning experience. So always keep a practice of selecting the least, the minimum range. Don't select, this is 65,000 IPs. Do you think I'll have 65,000 resources in my virtual network? If you think yes,
no.
then that's okay. But yeah, in real time, it's not feasible. So we'll keep this simple. We'll have some 200, 300, 400 IPs in this. And then based on whatever network range we are selecting, we'll have a subnet, multiple subnets created. Okay. This is how you will be selecting the things. Make sense?
Yeah. I have one more doubt. Maybe it's not clear. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
I was told to select that IP ranges everything. So how can we decide, like, if say IP is already used by in anywhere, any other tenant, something like that, any other customer is using that IP? So how can we decide that which IP is to choose, which IP range to choose
No,
if it comes to
each as a, no, there's a confusion. Each virtual network has its dedicated, like when we saw, each virtual network is dedicated. If you want to use the same IP range again in a different virtual network, you can do it, but never do it.
okay,
But if you want to use the same thing again, you can easily do it in a different tenant
okay,
or something like that. Okay, but it should not, if you are working in the same company, if you have already used it, you should not use it at the first place. That is the reason I said never use such a big IP range. Okay, because you're occupying everything, almost you took everything over here, correct? 10.0, that means you're taken everything over here. You can keep it small. But yeah, answering to your question, if you want to create one more virtual network, let's do that and let's test it if it's working. I'm using the same resource group so that if there is a clash, we'll have it in the same resource group. Okay, see what did it do? 10.1 automatically what it's doing. What did we
Yeah.
select previously? 10.0. Now it is selecting 10. And if you try to use the previous one, you will get an error. Do you see overlap? And if you're in
Yes.
different tenant, you will not get that overlap. This overlap error, you will not get it. It will work in the different tenant. Even if I change the region, I think I should not get this error. Still, I'm getting overlap error. But automatically, so this one will start change. If you have one over here, you will not get this error. Then this will change to 2. Then this will change to 3. Then this will change to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just imagine how many IPs we are talking about. So each time if you change this number, this will go till 255. This thing will go till 255. So imagine the amount of IP we're talking about, 65 to 65,000 into 255. That much of IP we are talking about will be assigned. So within this subscription, within this tenant, this is the IP. So if you 255 into somewhere roughly around 65,000, this much of IP you can allocate within your cloud platform. Or this is, I'm just talking about this tenant, and
Okay.
within this tenant, so it will first at the, if you're overlapping also, so see the clear error which we were getting, like suppose this is the overlapping which we're doing, it is giving you clear error that there's an overlap, it will not allow at the first place. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it. Thank you.
No problem. So this is the Vnet which is created. Let's quickly go and create a VM. So if you want to create a VM, this is, just look for virtual machine at the top. VM, guys, I'm not covering anything in the VM. I'll straight away go and create a simple VM. We'll have complete sessions, 4-5 sessions on VM. So for now, just go with the flow. We are just focusing on virtual network, and we'll cover VM later in details. Okay. So this is my virtual machine. I give VM1 region East US because my virtual network is there in the East US. And even this resource group was created in East US. That is the reason it is coming East US by default. Availability and security, just leave it for now. Image, I'll be using Ubuntu 2004, or I can use something else also. For now, let's stick with 2004. Authentication time, I'll be using user ID password. So I'll name it as Valaxy. Okay. User ID will be Valaxy. Password will be test at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me test at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Later we'll use SSH keys also, guys. For now, let's stick with. And what are the, if you see this inbound, it is asking, do you want to allow port 22? For now, I keep it none. I'm not allowing any ports. Disk is okay. This is a OS disk of 30 GB, which is getting assigned. Networking. At the networking, I'll be selecting my own virtual network. This is something we have created. Subnet. This is the subnet which we have created. Public IP. Do we need a public IP? Yes, because I want to connect to internet. So I need a public IP. So if you see, this is the public IP which will be created automatically. NIC, this is the place where you will be assigning a NIC card. Okay, so I'll keep it basic. Public inbound ports, I'm not allowing anything. So that's it. Go to management. It's okay, ignore it for now. Monitoring, I'll disable it for now. Preview and create. So basically what I'm doing, I'm creating a virtual machine in cloud with my own virtual network, with my own subnet, and with a public IP. But I have not allowed anything. So we'll see how it gets allowed. So what all things are getting created now? What all things are getting created? The first is we created a
Virtual
virtual
network
network,
and subnet
subnet,
and VMs.
VM, and
Nick,
NIC. Correct? All this we have created. Very good. It will hardly take time, guys. Okay, so in order to connect this Linux, you can even use DOS, Microsoft DOS. So this is MS DOS you can use. You can use this DOS and you can connect to your VMs directly from here doing SSH. But this is something what I use, I'll show you. I use a bash shell. This is a shell which I use. This is basically a Git shell, but this is a shell which I use and it's similar to the terminal in Unix, in Linux, and all your Linux command will work over here. Okay, so this is what I prefer. How do you guys download this shell? This shell is required, guys, because not just for connecting to this VMs. In the upcoming session when we cover Git, when I'll cover Git, I'll have this shell. I'll be using this shell. I'll be using this box to create branches, do create pull request, do cherry picking. All this will be done from this black screen. Okay, so this screen is nothing but it's a bash shell. So bash is nothing but it will help you run on all your Linux or Unix related commands. So I'll use this box. How do you download? Nothing, just go on Google and look for Git for Windows. If everyone is using Windows, then this is for them. If anyone is using Mac, then you can use your own terminal, guys. You don't need this shell. Okay, or if anyone is using Linux, there's nothing you need to do. So for people who are using Windows right now, go to this link. There is an option of standalone installer. Just use this 64-bit one. We'll be using VS Code, we'll be using Visual Studio, we'll be using all this IDE later in this course, not at the very start. Right? So there are two IDEs which I'll be using, VS Code and Visual Studio 2019. But that will be later in this course, not right now. Okay, for now, we'll focus on basic command line, how things works at the command line. Then I'll show you VS Code, how you can use Git plugins and do things very easily. Okay, but at the start, we'll take the hard route. I don't want you guys to be very comfortable using this plugins and all. Take the hard route, learn how things are done at the command line. If you know how things are done at the command line, later you can use plugin, because what will happen, plugin can misbehave. It can get stuck at to some point of time. If you know how things works at the command line, you can do anything. Okay, so we'll take the hard route first. So make sure to download this setup. It's just an exe file. Just download it, do next, and once this is done, you will find your git bash, git GUI, git cmd. These three things will get installed on your local system. Okay, make sense? Okay, the resource is also created. If I go back to my, see how the grouping happens, guys. If you go to the resource group, and if you open a resource group, see all your resources got created. Your VM is there, your public IP is there, your network security is there, and your network interface is there. Okay, now if I go to my VM, you'll find a public IP. If I copy this and if I try to SSH, this is how you will be able, this is how you will be connecting to your VMs. SSH, the username is Valaxy, and the public IP, hit enter. It will not allow me to connect to this VM. Can anyone tell me the reason why I'm not able to connect to this VM?
Security group. You are disabled SSH port.
Correct. Absolutely right. At my NSG level, this point, at this level, we have denied. Even though the public IP is there, everything is there, at this level, we have denied. So what I'll do, If you come down in the VM at the left hand side, there's an option of networking. In networking, whatever you see, this is a NSG. So if you read through this, this is NSG is attached to your network interface. Your network security group is attached where it is attached to network interface. What did I say? You can attach NSG at NIC level and you can attach NSG at subnet level, both places. Okay. For now, it is attached to your NIC. If it is attached, these are the things. I can add an inbound rule. I can give a source. You can be very specific from where the request is coming, but as of now, this is my front end application. I cannot define any source, so I can stick with any. What is the port range you want to allow from the source? Even you can define that. Destination, you can be very specific if you want any destination. This is something we'll play with. I'll have AG added later in this course. For now, we'll stick with any. What is the service type? I want SSH. SSH is port 80. This is how the priorities will be set, guys. 100 priority is the highest priority which you're giving. So this is the traffic. If suppose there's a traffic coming on 100 with 100 priority with port 22, so this traffic will be allowed first. And there is a request coming on port 80 on priority 101, that will be allowed later. So this is 100 priority is the maximum priority which you can assign. Now adding. Okay, so what did I do? I allowed port 22. So what I'm saying at my over here, that allow port 22 at the NIC level. So all my traffic will come now. I will be able to connect to my VM. See, it is allowing me to connect. Done. What was the password? That was test at 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. I'm connected. I'm inside my VM right now. Valaxy at VM1. And what did I say? I want to install a app server so that I can access my web page from internet. How do I do it? I can simply do one thing. I can install Apache and I'll have a static page hosted on it. Okay. I'll do it quickly, guys. Don't worry. We already done. Okay. So how do I install Apache? The command is app install Apache 2-y. This is the command. So you'll find my Apache installed. Don't worry about this commands. After this cloud is done, I'll be covering Linux basic. In Linux basic, we'll cover all the user command, we'll cover all the package management, we'll cover user management, group management, and all the basic commands, and everything will be covered in the Linux basic command. Because Linux as a OS is very important if you want to be a very good DevOps engineer. So we'll cover those also. Don't worry. We'll cover what is symlink, hardlink. We'll cover how do we check logs and everything. File system hierarchy. All this will cover in Linux later in this course. Let's wait while my Apache is getting installed. It's a free tier VM which I've created. It has only 1 vCPU and 1 gig of memory. It comes into free tier, guys. Even if it's not a free tier, if you're using pay as you go, it will cost you around 1 rupees per hour. That cheap this VM is. Okay, I got Apache installed. How do we verify if it's Apache's installed or not? Systemctl status Apache 2. Okay, I got Apache up and running. Now let me have some customization done. Let me log in as a root user first. And let's do this way, echo. I want to display welcome to DevSecOps course. Okay, so it's a very simple web page I want to display, and the file which you need to add it is where www html index.html. This is the place where your static page will reside. Wait, Let me delete this file. I don't know why that command was not working. And let's create echo welcome to DevSecOps course. Okay. Now I want to create the same file index.html. Enter. Done. Yeah, perfect. Let's verify if it is there. Don't worry about those commands which I'm running, guys. I'll be covering this whole command for you guys. Okay. Exit. Let's restart the service once. How do I restart? The command is restart. Okay. Now let's verify if my web page is working on my local system first. How do I verify? I can make use of wget https localhost. Correct. I'm not able to connect. Okay, failed connection. The reason is specific. You need to access it on a port 80 and we have not allowed port 80 at my NSG. Not 443. Wait. Sorry. Within your VM, you should be able to connect. The reason was it was trying to connect to 443, that is HTTPS, and we have not set up any SSL certificates or anything as such, so it was denying that traffic. Failed connection request. Now after I removed just S, and now the request is going on port 80, and we have Apache which is running on port 80 right now. And if you see the index.html is popping up, if you go and view this page, you should see your welcome to DevSecOps course. So your Apache is working, your web page is working on your local system. So this is within the VM you're checking. So within the VM, you don't need to allow any ports or such because you're logged in inside the VM and you're checking whether your application is working or not. So it's perfectly working. Now the problem arises when you try to access your application from outside world. There's my public IP. So you need to use this public IP. The problem arises when you try to access the traffic from outside world. It will not let you enter your VM. So again, the same scenario, guys, you're trying to access your application on port 80 and it is reaching till here, but it is getting stuck over here because at the NSG, I have not allowed port 80. So what do you have to do? It will not come. What you have to do, you have to go in networking, go in any custom HTTP. See, if you're selecting HTTPS, it will be 443. So for now, I'm just selecting HTTP. See, automatically the priority is getting set. Okay, guys, just try it by yourself if you're able to view my web page. Let me give you this public IP. Try at your end if you're able to view my web page. Let me know. Are you guys able to view the web page? In my case, I'm not able to view because the cache has already been there in my browser. So I'll have to open an incognito mode.
Yeah,
See,
it's
it's there.
highlighting like welcome to DevSecOps course.
Perfect. So this is welcome to DevSecOps course. So this is what we have done. Okay. Now we'll take this diagram a bit further in tomorrow's session. I'll have one more subnet added and I'll add a backend VM. And the backend VM, I'll not allocate any public IP. This backend VM will be accessible only through this VM. So this is something we'll take this more further tomorrow. And we'll add one more subnet, we'll add one more NSG at this level. And we'll add one ASG at this level. So we'll take it more further. We'll redesign this diagram and we'll take this more further. So that's it for me, guys. If you have any questions, please do let me know. And for getting all the accesses to the documentation and everything, please reach out to Valaxy team. They will help you out with the further details. Okay, guys, anyone has any question? And one more important thing, once you're done with your session, one last thing, make sure go to the resource group, select this resource group and delete this resource group. So when you delete the resource group, everything will be deleted. Don't do one at a time. Select, delete, done. Yeah, please tell me.
Hello, Mr. Rohit. It's me again.
Yeah, tell me.
For the web server to work, do you have to download Apache first and then do the command line from
Correct.
Apache? Or okay.
Don't worry, I'll share the commands also today. Whatever I have run, I'll write down those commands and share it with you guys. It will be
No, no.
uploaded in the portal.
Sorry, no. I meant for to access the public page for the window page, the
Mm-hmm.
second window page. Did you have to do the follow the other command prompts? To do first, then after, then you allow the
Yes,
inbound. Okay.
correct. So basically the command which I ran on the Linux machine, those were setting Apache web server. And in the Apache web server, I had a very simple static page created, like welcome to DevSecOps course. Then I went using the public IP, then we were able to access that page. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and no worries. I'll have all those commands written and I'll be sharing those commands with you guys. So even though if you guys have missed those commands, you can easily follow my documentation. And in my documentation, everything is written. Don't worry. Okay, make sense?
Thank you.
No worries, guys. Anyone else? Any other questions, guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
can
right.
you please share the last two demo session videos for reviewing future purpose?
Yes, why not? It will be shared on the portal. Everything, whatever you see, everything will be shared on the portal and the access will be given by the Valaxy admin team. So please reach out to them. I think the numbers and everything is given over here. Just reach out to them. They will help you out. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. And also, can you please share the each demo session documentation also for reviewing purpose and for interviews purpose, future interviews purpose, as well as
This
each and every.
complete PPT, which I'm showing it over here. This complete PPT will be given to you guys. Don't worry. But this PPT is quite big, guys. This is 72 page, and I'm adding some more pages to it. So as soon as we're done with the topic, so this network thing is done, I'll be sharing this network topic PPT with the team, and the same will be uploaded for you all. No worries. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Hope to see you all
Rohit,
tomorrow. Yeah.
fine. Can you show that? I mean, you are said port 80 is allocated, right? We haven't defined anywhere uh, that port 80 the configuration level. Can you show it once again?
No, we have defined at the network level, at the NSG, I have defined port
energy,
80.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you see this create security rule, this is the place where we have created port 80. At the NSG level, we have created it. As of now, my complete things are
Okay,
getting deleted, so you'll
deleted.
not
Yeah.
be able to see it. But if you see this notification, was the place. This was the place
So
where we
while
have
creating
defined.
the inbound rule, you have I mean, you have mentioned that 80 port. You are saying.
Correct. So while we are creating the inbound rule, we have mentioned port 80 also. I would have showed you, but now the things are all deleted. We have to. No worries. I'll do it again tomorrow. And in tomorrow's session, we'll add the port 80 again. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Let's meet tomorrow and let's continue this virtual network topic. It's very interesting. There are many things I'll be adding to this diagram which I just showed. Many things will be adding to it. So let's meet up tomorrow and let's continue. Bye bye.